Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks, Nguyen, and good afternoon, everybody. Good morning. If you're in the UK, I can see quite a few people joining us from the UK. My name is Davide Guarini Gilmartin. I'm the academic manager for English for Education Systems at the British Council here in Vietnam. And I'm really excited today to introduce this next webinar in our series, our Partners in Innovation series. And we're going to, the recording has started, so please note that this webinar will be recorded and will go onto our YouTube channel. And I'll say a little bit more about that in a few minutes. So it's great to have everybody joining us, and I still see a lot of people still joining as we go. So please, in the chat, please say where you're from as well. That'd be really great to know which province you're from in Vietnam, or maybe which country you are from as well. If you're from around the region in Asia, in ASEAN, or further afield in the UK, for example. I'm just going to say a few words for the next maybe 7 to 10 minutes, just to introduce the project, the Digital Learning Innovation Fund project. And then I'm going to hand over, excuse me, then I'm going to hand over to the team from IH London and Hanoi Pedagogical University #2, and they've got a fantastic, really fantastic webinar for you this afternoon. I'm really excited to see what they're going to share with you. So hopefully you can see my screen now. And I'll try to go through this reasonably quickly because I know that Nhat is going to pick up on some of these ideas in her slides in the next part as well. So just a few words about the British Council first of all. So we were founded in 1934 and we're the UK's international organisation for culture and education. And we build connections, understanding and trust between people in the UK and other countries around the world, including Vietnam, through 3 main areas. One is arts and culture, the other is education, and then the third is English language. And in 2019, 2020, before the pandemic, we connected with 80 million people directly, face to face, and with about 800 million people overall, including through online, through broadcast and through publications around the world. And that figure has increased significantly after and through COVID. As I said, I work for the English for Education Systems part of the British Council, and we work in 3 main areas. We look at English in education, English Connects, which is our digital offer, and also through English and empowerment. And if you look on the right-hand side there, I'm sure many of you are familiar with the Teaching English website, which is part of the British Council's global offer. And as I say, our 3 areas, our 3 main impact areas are broken down. So the 2 main areas that we're looking at are English in education, looking at English language teaching, and also English Connects and our digital and online and education technology offer. And the project that you're going to hear about today is very much looking at covering those 2 areas of English language teaching and online work with teachers. So in Vietnam, the British Council has worked in Vietnam since 1993, and we work very closely with the Ministry of Education and Training, with MOET, and with the National Foreign Languages Project, NFLP, on a variety of projects and programs. And we work in partnership with MOET and with NFLP to help them and support them in their strategy to really focus on improving and developing a more inclusive and more quality offer in terms of English language teaching, learning and assessment. And that's our main driver here in the work that we do. We have a track record in digital innovation over the last few years, going back to the turn of the last decade, 2008 to 2011. We had what was called the Teaching English in Vietnam website, which was a virtual teacher support network with resources mapped against the old Vietnamese English language curriculum. And then in 2013, we had a project with Nokia and Pearson. We've had some consultancies and some reviews in 2017 and 2018 with the National Foreign Languages Project, looking at online provision of teaching and learning across Vietnam. And that brings us up to the Digital Learning Innovation Fund in 2021. So this was developed very much in response to COVID. Obviously, in February of 2020, just over 2 years ago now, COVID first hit Vietnam as it was hitting around the world. And throughout 2020, the British Council globally created what was called a digital task force. And on the Teaching English website, you can find lots of resources for teachers and learners that came from that. And on the right-hand side there, you can see one example, which is the remote teaching tips. And then in September 2020, we had a virtual ELT mission, an English language teaching mission in Vietnam, but with partners from the UK and from Vietnam. And at that mission, we announced the start of the Digital Learning Innovation Fund. And Nhat's going to say a little bit more about that in a minute in terms of this project and this partnership. And then in January of 2021, last year, we opened the call. We had two main themes. We had a briefing session, and as a result of that, we received 9 proposals. So in terms of the fund itself and the projects that you're going to hear about, and the one project in particular later, as I said before, this is all designed to support NFLP in their ambition to improve the teaching and learning of English, but in a way that is more inclusive and using digital and education technology. And the idea behind this fund and this pilot was to really encourage collaboration and collaborative partnerships between the UK and providers in the UK and providers in the Vietnam, in the hope that they would generate new research, new insight, and new innovations in English language teaching and learning. And we had 2 main themes. The first theme was looking at digital content. The second theme was looking at building capacity of teachers and teacher educators. And the project that you're going to hear about this morning and this afternoon covers both these. You're going to hear about some content that's being created at the end of this afternoon, and also in the first few parts of the session this afternoon and this morning, you're going to hear about how the teachers have been supported in Vietnam and how their capacity has been built. We had a number of selection criteria. As I mentioned before, we had 9 proposals, and from those 9 proposals, we selected 3 in March of 2021. And then we formally, officially launched those in May of last year, May 2021. So the 3 projects are, in no particular order, in December, some of you may have joined the webinar where we talked about the Digital English Theatre Project. This was between IH Belfast, the Hands Up project, and Nguyen Thi University, and really focused on introducing the concept of digital English theatre down in the Mekong Delta. The second project, again in no particular order, was the Vietnam Virtual Exchange for English Language Teaching between Coventry University and the Hanoi University of Science and Technology. They had a webinar in January, and they also had a symposium on Wednesday evening, just a few days ago. And then the third and final project is the one that you're going to hear about today. The project looking at virtual mentoring and online CPD for grade 6 junior high school, junior secondary teachers from IH London and Hanoi Pedagogical University number 2. That's all I want to say by way of introduction to the project. Hope that gives you a little bit of context. Before I hand over to the team from IH London and Hanoi Pedagogical University number 2. That brings us to, this is today's webinar. This is what we're doing today. So it's great to have all of you with us. If you want to learn more about the digital innovation projects, you can check out our YouTube playlist. We have all our webinars on here. So you can see there, number 2 is the Digital English Theatre Project. And number 3 is the VivExcel project. And after today, we will put the recording of this webinar in that YouTube playlist as well, if you want to watch and learn again. I'll put the link in the chat in just a moment as well. And finally, coming up in the next few months, we are going to have 2 more webinars. I can see Neil Harris from Celt is on the call already today. So good morning, Neil. Going to talk about the prelim project. So hopefully at the end of April, the date is still to be confirmed. At the end of April or the beginning of May, we're going to have a session talking about the prelim project. the partners between CELT in the UK and the Viet TESOL Association here in Vietnam have been working with 2 groups of primary and secondary teachers. You can learn more about that project and what they've learned. Also in June, we're going to have, I can see Phum is on the line as well. Good morning, Phum. Phum and his partner Mai from both from Manchester Metropolitan University. They're going to talk about some research they've done into teaching and learning and working with teachers and learners here in Vietnam as well. So those are a couple of things that are coming up in the next few months, and you can learn more about those. I'll put some links in the chat. Okay, that's all I want to share this morning, this afternoon. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand back to, hopefully, Charlotte, and have a great session. I hope everybody really enjoys the session this afternoon. Is it Charlotte or is it Nhat?
No, okay. I'm handing over to Nhat. Would you like to share your screen, Nhat, and then you can put yourself up. Great. We're all in different countries, in different cities, and different places. So this is truly an international presentation today.
Thank you, Davide. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me well?
Very clear, yeah.
Yes, thanks. Okay, thank you, everyone. So I'm so delighted to be here as a team members in our project to present you a part of our bigger project. The members of our team today is Charlotte, Katy, Chuong, and Linh. And in the webinar today, we'd like to focus on 5 areas. The first one, I want to give you information about the partnership between IH London and HPU2 and a brief overview about the results of the project. And Katy will come with you and give you the ideas about how to develop materials for English teachers to use with the textbooks. And Linh, as a teacher mentor, she will report how the course has changed the teachers in the way they teach and the way they design the lesson and develop the materials. And Chuong, a junior secondary school teachers, will share his experience as a teacher trainees. And finally, Charlotte will present you an overview of the online self-access course as a way we would like to maintain and sustain the projects. So about our partnership, you know, the event that marks the delightful departures of our partnership is the hybrid ELT seminar organized by the government, UK government, along with Ministry of Education and Training in Vietnam and the National Foreign Language Project in Vietnam. I have to say that this is a very special event that connected the UK institution with the educational institution in Vietnam. And from that time, IH London and HPU2, we have had a number of discussions, and we thought about how we can develop the partnership and how we can work together to improve the quality of English language teaching in Vietnam. And thanks to the Digital Innovation Funds by Vietnam British Council, and you just heard from Davide, this is the great opportunity for us, and lucky enough, we were selected to be one of the project to run in the last year. And we decided to develop an online CPD and mentoring for Vietnamese teachers, and we want to focus on materials development to use with the textbook in Vietnam. But the reason why we decided to choose material development as a focus of our teacher training comes a lot from the context of Vietnam. As you know, by the end of 2018, when the government and Ministry of Education and Training in Vietnam issued the new English curriculum, and a big change of the English programs is that now for one program, teachers and students can use different textbooks. It really different from in the past. You know, in the past, for example, for grade 6, there only one textbook which was approved by Ministry of Education and Training to be used across Vietnam. But now with the new English program, the Vietnamese government allowed different textbooks to be used, and school can choose the textbook they think that is suitable to their condition, to their school and to their teacher and students. By saying that, now teachers have more freedom, more power, and they can, and also that is the needs that they have to create, they have to adapt the textbook to use in order to meet the needs of the teacher. With the flexibility of the new English program, teachers nowadays can bring in their creativity to make their teaching more meaningful to meet the needs of the students. So we decided to develop the training course to meet the needs of the teachers across Vietnam, especially for the one who had little access to such professional development, especially in the rural areas, in the ethnic, in the mountainous areas. And you know, we decided to select the teachers across Vietnam. We set a number of criteria to select the teachers, and 96 teachers were selected from 11 provinces across Vietnam, from the north to the Red River Delta, to the north central coast, to highlands, south central coast, southeast, and Mekong River Delta. So the 69 teachers were divided into 4 groups, and each group will include the teacher from different provinces, so that we want to break the barrier of distance. We want to use the digital, you know, the digital ability, to help bring them together to overcome the distance barrier, and also to provide them the opportunity to access the professional development that they normally have very little chance to have. So we focus on grade 6. We focus on grade 6. We choose grade 6 as the focus because, as you know, in 2021, that is a time when the new English program started to release the English textbook 6, and we want to support the teacher right away. So here are the textbooks that teacher in grade 6 of 11 provinces they use. You can see here there. This is the English Discovery. The next one is English Global Success. The next one, I Learn Smart World, and the Right On. So the key point we want to make here is that we want to develop the teacher skills and expertise in adapting the textbook to supplement or to design and develop materials to use with whatever textbook that they used. And we are very happy to read and to see the results that we got from the survey with the teachers during and after the course. So nearly 100% of the teachers said that they enjoyed the course and they really learned new ideas that they can use in their lessons. And 96% of them said that they feel very confident now. They want to, they know how to adapt the materials, and they said that they can create meaningful context for teaching, like teaching vocabulary, teaching grammar, or to design project to teach English for the students. More importantly, with the point of designing, extending, and adapting activity for coursebook, the teachers said that they feel they very confident that they can do so. Here are some examples of the teacher reflections. For example, they said that one teacher said that I know how to encourage my student to participate in speaking activity by adapting the task to be suitable to all the students' levels. Or it helped me know how to plan the lesson, how to design a lesson plan, or how to adapt and develop materials and change the task in the textbook. All are the reflection that the teacher expressed, showing that this shows that the teacher are now more comfortable with adapting the textbook. That's really important because in the past, you know, in Vietnam, usually the textbook will be the primary materials for the teachers, and they usually look at the textbook as the you know, the prescription. They follow the orders and the contents in the textbook. But with the I think one of the impacts of our course is we have raised the awareness for the teachers so that they are aware of the needs, and also they have competence. They develop their capacity in you know, developing materials to use with their textbook. So in order to have a very, I have to say, like successful partnership between IH London and HPU2 over the last year, I would like to summarize it in 4 keywords. So we come together when we found out that we have a shared passion for English language teaching, and we both have the common, we both have the educational mission when we think teacher training is very important, and we think that it is the key for the positive change in the students' ability, and it is the education really important because that it is the force for the changes of the society. During the time when we work together, we also showed that we also have a similar attitude towards the projects. Required a lot of work from both sides, and it's very time consuming as well. And you know, the time differences between 2 countries require a lot of effort from all of the team members. But when we work, we show that we are very, we show our profession and our, we always respect each other. We listen to each other, and we work in our we work. We try our best to complete the task, and that brings to the successful project that we have so far. And last but not least, I have to mention is the continuous supports that we have from different stakeholders. I have to mention a big thanks to British Council for the generous support. Thanks David D and Na for always caring about us, and thank you British Council for the fund that helped us to complete the project. And a big thank you to the publisher who have allowed us to use their materials in our project. And deep gratitude I would like to give to all the trainers, the mentors, the teacher mentees, and their students for all of their support in our project. All of these have helped us to have a very meaningful project for the English language teacher in Vietnam. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Nhat. I've said to people, if you have any questions for Nhat, please feel free to put them in the chat, and I'm sure Nhat will be very happy to respond to those. Yeah. Nhat, can I ask one very quick question before we hand over? You mentioned about putting the teachers from different provinces together. Did you have any challenges with that, or was it smooth sailing?
Thanks, Deputy, for your question. Actually, that have both sides. So the advantages that we can see is that the teacher from different provinces, they bring in different perspective, and also the information about their context are different as well. So when they work together during the course, they learn from each other, and they can share what they know and what happening in their context. For example, what textbook they use and what difficulty they have. For example, one teacher teach online, but the other teacher teach face-to-face, or regarding to the film, getting the filming videos, the video of their teaching, they can share and learn from each other. But also, there's another side is that they also have difficulties, such as when they have to complete a task assigned by the trainers. They use different textbooks, so maybe it will require them to work harder, and they have to come to the the general the agreement that what they have to do if they or they have to work harder. I have to say that. Yeah. Okay. So thanks. Yeah.
Thanks, Nhat. Yeah, I've got loads of questions. I know I don't want to keep us, and I know that Katie's ready for her next stage. So as I said to the audience, because I think we have about 60 people on the call so far. So again, if you have any questions, any comments at any time, please feel free to put them in the chat. Okay, but I think for now, thanks Nhat very much for that overview again of the project. So now I think we're going over to Katy. Is that right, Katy?
Yes, I'm going to hopefully share my screen successfully. Let's see, I hope you can see that in a moment.
Yes.
You see that okay?
Yeah, we can see Katy.
Good. Lovely, fantastic. So hello, and thank you very much, Nhat as well, and Davide. So good afternoon, and in some cases, good morning to all of you. Let's have a look what's coming up then. So in the part I'm going to present, we're going to talk about, first starting off with identifying the aims and objectives of the live and online course parts. We're going to look at some examples of the material adaptations from the live course. And then also have a little think about the outcomes. So how did it go? So let's begin then by thinking about the project aims and objectives. The idea really, as Nhat also said, was for us to all to collaboratively identify what are our learner needs, which is really important, as she mentioned as well, that what is suitable for each learner and our classes. We We really wanted also to think carefully about the stages of a lesson, and therefore what aspects of our materials need adaptation in consideration of learner needs and stages of a lesson. And then to go on to think about how we can adapt and extend our materials. So the idea was really that all the course participants were actively applying ideas and methodology to the course books and their classes. So let's have a look at the course structure. There was an asynchronous live online sessions, which was done on Zoom, and then asynchronous tasks on Padlet and Google Classroom, and Zalu actually as well. So the asynchronous online sessions, really the idea was to focus on different skills. So we had sessions which were reading, writing, listening, but also to find a way to integrate the other skills in our main skills focus. And we did this by looking at examples and stages and through interactive demonstrations as well. So the idea was that I tried to show how and what we can do through demonstrations as well. Then on the synchronous side, that was really the practical application. So this was the idea where collaboratively, and as Nat mentioned as well, people from all over different regions had the opportunity to work together on tasks to create extension, adaptations of the course book materials. So that's the course structure and overview. Now let's think about, why do we adapt and extend course materials? Now, before we think of the whys, it is really important to mention that course books are good. We like course books. And it is really important to realize that lots of time, effort, and hard work goes into the creation and writing of course books. But we need to also not forget that each of our classes are unique. So there is no same class each year or within a year group. So our classes and our learners have different strengths and different needs. So we need to really adapt and adjust our input to meet the learner needs. We know that there are different situations, so the one book or the one activity will fit in a different way to different contexts and different learners. So just as a very quick reminder as well, what we didn't want is to say to teachers, look, you need to replace the course book. That's not what we wanted to do, for reasons, as I've mentioned, they are good. And also, we need to be realistic. Teachers don't have a lot of time to invent and recreate everything extra. So the feeling really is that we want to work from and with the course book content. So that is still at the heart of what we're doing. And the focus very much is on scaffolding, so supporting the existing material, personalizing for the learners in the room and the classes, and contextualizing depending on where you are and what their experiences are. So the idea being that we're looking at extending materials to maximize content and integrate skills as well. And that was really the idea, to make it successful and for teachers to be able to use materials successfully. Now, what does that look like practically? Well, let's have a little look. We're going to have a little bit of an example then of something we used in the live sessions. Let's break it down. Here is an example then. Here it is, which is a speaking task, a communicative task where learners are asked to look at the questions, what is suitable to ask a new friend at school. For example, do you like pop music? Are you hungry? Do you play football? And what we did with this then is start off by asking ourselves, so what is the aim of this actually? What is it we want to do? And then we invited as well the teachers on the course to think about, what would they do with this? So how would you deal with this in your class? And with careful consideration of what might be difficult for learners as is. So let's have a look then and answer those questions. So what's the aim of this? Well, it is common questions or sort of regular questions, and fluency. There's not one specific structure that we're looking at. And the key question as well is then, so what might be difficult for our learners with this activity? There could be a little bit of a motivation or engagement issue. Why am I asking these questions? Am I asking the question because it's in the book and because my teacher says? So we want to try and motivate and engage more. There could also be a content issue in terms of vocabulary and grammar gaps. So then we need to ask ourselves, okay, with this, what can we do? What can we do to support our learners so it is less difficult and more successful as a fluency task? Well, let's have a look. What could we do? Here is a suggestion in order to get our learners engaged and speaking. So, oh look, there are 2 new pupils at our school. Here they are. Now, let's think about what would you like to ask them? Let's get together and think of some ideas and topics. So at this stage, our learners can work together to brainstorm ideas and topics which they are interested in asking new pupils who come to their school. So we're really trying to get engagement from our learners as well. And then let's have a look at the topic ideas the learners came up with. Ooh, here they are. Animals, great idea. Favorite food, yes. Brothers and sisters. So now we need to get together. Let's write some questions to ask. For example, do you like animals? Or what's your favorite food? Do you have brothers and sisters? Now, let's go back to the course book and look at the questions that we have. Now, let's choose the ones you like. So give our learners the opportunity to select questions that they are interested in and they would like to ask. So choose some of these questions. What would you like to ask? Now, what about the answers? Let's think about some of the answers and make notes. And then this is an opportunity for us to notice and plug any language gaps. Now, let's see. So what have we got? We have learner-generated topics, which are the animals, the food, the brothers and sisters, and the selected questions. So now, why don't we work in groups of 4? 2 are the new pupils. Ask and answer the questions you have. Then we can swap pairings. Then we can choose, why don't we ask each learner to choose their 5 favorite questions? Let's all get up and ask everyone in the class and note down some answers. So this way we've gone from 1 on the page question speaking task, added lots of collaboration, communication, and have 2 speaking outcome tasks. Here's another example. Let's take a look at this one. So what about this task? In number 7, we have match the questions with the correct answers. So we have questions, answers, matching. Then in number 8, we have role play the questions. So in other words, ask and answer with a partner. Now let's think about what can we do to support and challenge and extend this task. And then we always ask ourselves, okay, so what would we do? And then look at a suggestion. So here we are, we've got the first one, which is the matching task. Perhaps we could, let's work in pairs. Each pair, here is a sentence. Here is yours, here is yours, here is yours, and yours, and yours, and yours, and yours. Lovely. Now, oh, and yours. Now, try and find your match. So everybody up and around, you've got your sentence. Can you find your match, your answer? Right, then we can check together. So what question did you have? How was your work at how was your first week at school? And the answer? Ooh, wonderful. The question, does Mai live near her school? Who's your partner? Yes, she does. Good job. What do you do in the evening? Who's your partner? I do my homework and watch TV. Fantastic. And How many classes are there in your school? Who's your partner? 16. Good job. So the aim here really is by lifting it off the page and asking learners to do it collaboratively and communicatively, is that we maximize communication and interaction. Also, learners will be saying their question and answer and thinking a little bit more deeply about the questions and answers. So then in the book, it goes on to suggest a role play, which is the ask and answer in a very straight format. But the question is that communicative enough? And how can we exploit this maybe just a little bit more in order to really maximize fluency and have a whole class activity with high engagement and interest as well? So how about this? We could have a find someone who activity. So we give our learners the baseboard like this with the prompts. Homework in the evening, live near school, watch TV, and so on. Then we can also invite them, why not add more things to ask and find out? We will allow a little bit of time for our learners to think about the question form. So for example, do you do homework in the evening? Do you live near school? Do you watch TV in the evening? Now, learners can get up and ask everyone and write down the name of the people who say yes. So, for example, Davide, do you live near school? Yes? Okay, then I can put down his name. And Charlotte, do you watch TV in the evening? No? Okay. So the idea is really that this is a chance for greater fluency and to maximize speaking and interaction. And all we've done is lifted it from the page and added a few little things. So a little summary of the examples then that we've just looked at. The idea is really that we've worked with content. We haven't changed it all, we've just worked with what we have. And the focus is really on supporting learners. So by adding little things, we're supporting the learners to be able to achieve the objective of the task. Hopefully it should be time efficient and realistic for the teacher, time efficient. Because all we're doing is adding, adapting to, and extending and engaging. So we did similar things as well with, well, we did the same things really, with examples for reading, listening, and writing, where the main aim and focus was always offering learners extra support or extra challenge with the existing activity, and extension tasks as well to integrate skills and maximize communication. So that's the online aspect. Now let's have a quick look and reminder of the synchronous collaborative tasks. So after each live session, the teachers work together to apply the ideas to their course books. They selected one area to adapt or extend and posted the ideas on Padlet. Just very quickly, we're going to have a look at just a couple of examples. So here is one example where a teacher, the listening task was identifying people by appearance. So in order to create interest and engagement here, the person created, or the group created, a character, Lisa. They created a clear context, which is it's her birthday. And they also allowed time for the learners to get together to think about questions that they would ask. So they are more interested and engaged and activating some of their prior knowledge before listening. Here's another example. So this is before a reading, which was a very effective but very simple addition of some pictures of the island. And then the teacher can ask, where is it? What can you see? And this way, again, we're maximizing engagement and interest. One more, I wanted to show this one because it's a little bit different as well. So this one was really, again, pre-listening. And this really offers language support. So with a very simple addition of a brainstorming task, the students work together then to make a list of adjectives and activities that they like doing together in groups And this really helps them to start thinking about the language that they might hear in the listening, and therefore supports the task from the book. Final one, which was a nice one as well to add. So we can see the task on the one side is the course book task, and then on the other is what the group added. So this was, they added a couple of pictures, and the key thing was as well that they added extra questions to maximize communicative opportunity before the listening task. So this was also a nice example. So some final thoughts from me then on my experience of working with the teachers on Zoom on the live sessions. There were so many amazing ideas, fantastic participation and commitment from all the teachers throughout, which was great. I think we all realized that the teachers' experience and understanding of their learners is invaluable to successful learning. So we need the teachers to be able to apply what they know of their classes to the material. And really, we can do a lot without having to reinvent the wheel. We can still, with little adjustments or additions, a lot can happen. And then finally as well, the importance of considering learner needs and our context when working with course books. That is something which is really crucial for successful learning and teaching. So that's it from me, really. So thank you very much. And I'll stop sharing and hand back.
Thanks, Katie. Before we move on to Ling, I've got a couple of questions coming in the chat. One from Hui, I think it's Hui, hopefully. It says, interesting, if the course book is unable to be replaced, should we update it instead of replacing?
Should we update the course book that they are working with?
I think that's the question, yeah. Unfortunately, we can't hear Hui, can't open the mic, so I'm posing that question. What have you got a response to that?
Well, I mean, I would say I think we don't always have the power to decide which book we're working with and so on. And that's life. But what we can always do is work with content that exists and really make very small adjustments or additions to meet our learner needs. And I think the experience we had from this course is that that's very much possible and that teachers were able to do that collaboratively as well as independently. So you can always add. It's like adding a bit of icing to a cake.
Yeah, as you say, it's very difficult, especially in Vietnam. It's very difficult for us to change the course book in many areas. But we can always supplement, adapt, think about different ways to exploit the material. I think, and getting teachers to think like that, as you said, Katie, and as Nhat mentioned before, I think that's really the opener, raising that awareness, as Nhat said before, of that.
Building the confidence.
Exactly,
and it's really important.
Totally agree. Yeah. There's a couple more questions from Neil, from Kel, and also from Phum. But I think hopefully Ling and Charlotte may pick up on those questions later. If not, we'll come back to them. Just one more question though before we move on. And again, Katie, if you feel that maybe Ling or Charlotte could address these, feel free to say so. Tuong has just put a question in the chat. Can you share which tools you use to evaluate the effectiveness of the adapted materials, or is Ling, are you going to address that in your part coming up next?
I believe so, yes. So, I mean, it wasn't we didn't have formal assessment in that sense. No. It was very much also reflective and evaluative from the teachers,
right,
as well, and their experience on the ground. But I believe Lynn will be also talking about that.
Yeah, I think so. So thanks for the question, Tuong, and I think that's a very nice segue to hand over from Katie over to Ling. So over to you, Ling. Ling, can you?
Oh yes, I share my screen now.
Okay.
It takes a minute for us to connect.
Okay.
Right.
Do you see my screen now?
Yes, it's coming now. Yeah, we can see it now, Ling.
Great, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Linh, an English lecturer at Hanoi Pedagogical University too. During the course, I was working as a team assistant. I supported teachers from Group 4 via Zalo and Padlet so that they could perform well with all the learning tasks. Today, in my part, I would like to share with you teachers' feedback on how the course has changed the way they teach. Examples together with explanations will be given based on the written feedback provided by teachers from Group 4. To begin, I would like to share with you some outstanding results of the survey questionnaire conducted at the beginning of March, which means the end of the course. We found out that nearly 80% of the participants found the project beneficial to their teacher career development. Almost 95% of them have shared some new teaching ideas learned from the course with other colleagues at schools. Teachers from Group 4 were no exceptions. Mr. Trần Văn Sơn, a teacher from Mỹ Hòa Secondary School, Cầu Ngang, Trà Vinh Province, wrote in his reflection, I've attended the 4 live sessions on Zoom about designing and developing materials, 4 skills together with grammar and vocabulary. I find the sessions useful and great. I had a chance to practice planning the lessons and learn from my partners, especially their deserving ideas and comments that will contribute a great deal to my teaching career. Another teacher from Mộc Ly Secondary School, Sơn La, wrote that, her name is Nguyen Thi Hong Nhat. She wrote, the teachers gave me a lot of useful things. Thanks so much for the very useful training course you gave us. Hope to join and learn more from you if I have other chances. So the question that's what put in here is, what exactly have the teachers shared with their colleagues at school? What have they found life-changing and worth sharing? Before I answer those questions, I would like to give you some information about teachers of Group 4. Group 4 SLTV consists of 2 distinctive groups of teachers with very different cultural backgrounds and Vietnamese accent. SL stands for Sơn La and TV stands for Trà Vinh, the 2 provinces of Vietnam. They come from schools from the 2 ends of the country and use different textbooks. If we look at the map of Vietnam, you will see that Sơn La is here in the north and Trà Vinh is here in the south. Sơn La is a province with which is rich in ethnic groups, with the majority are white and black Thai people. Thai people makes up for nearly 55% of the population. Meanwhile, King people makes up for nearly 17%. Other ethnic groups include Hmong people, Mường, Sinh-Mun, and some others ethnic groups minorities. Here are some photos of people in Sơn La, and as you can see, they come from different ethnic groups. Trà Vinh, meanwhile, is a coastal province which lies in the Mekong Delta. The King people makes up for nearly 70% of the total population. The Khmer people makes up for 29%. And if you look at the way that they wear, you will understand how different they are in terms of cultural backgrounds. Teachers of Group 4 use very different textbooks. Some were using Global Success, some used Write On, and some use I Learned Smart World. Regardless of their differences, they have shared with their colleagues at schools these 5 lessons. What are they? Let me tell you. I read their reflections very closely, and I found out that Most of the teachers shared with their colleagues at school these five lessons. Lesson 1, helping the students act out the language is better than teaching them the language. Many teachers wrote in their reflections that before the course, I thought I was a very good teacher. I prepared everything very well. However, my students failed to communicate well in English. From the course, I learned that providing the students with chances to practice is the best way to help them learn the language. So they noted down that they will need to give out clear instructions before assigning tasks to the students. They're going to supply students with enough background knowledge about the topic, vocabulary, and grammar forms to make sure that all students, including weaker students, so that they can perform the task confidently. They're going to provide help during the time the students work. And instead of working alone, they will ask the students to work with their partners to make the lessons more interesting. Most teachers also mentioned the importance of giving positive feedback. I will tell you more about this later on. Lesson 2. Many teachers wrote in their reflections that a good teacher turned difficult lessons into easy ones. They've learned that they won't want to make complicated parts become more complicated. They need to come up with a way that helps the students understand things better. So here I'm going to give an example of teaching reading. Some teachers wrote that break down the long and hard sections into short and easier ones so that all students in the class can do. They wrote that they would apply that in whatever they teach. So how to break down the long and hard sections into short and easier ones? An example can be given here as these reading texts. Here, as you can see, there are 3 reading texts to read. If one student needs to read all these 3 texts, that will be quite difficult for them, especially when it comes to weaker students. So the teacher trainees learned from the course that they should assign tasks to each student. Okay, they are going to form a group of 3 in which each student is in charge of one text. One student is in charge of text A, another will be in charge of text B or C. After reading, they're going to share the information with each other. By so doing, the teachers have helped the students to reduce the workload. Many teachers mention this in their reflections. Lesson 3. Students are more engaged when tasks are adapted and made real and purposeful. An example to be given here is in teaching writing. Let's have a look at this task. This task asks the students to write an email to Nick. Tell him about your idea for the new room for the Crazy House Hotel. I still remember I was attending the course together with other teacher trainees, and when Katie asked, "Who's Nick? Who cares?" Then all the students, wow, yeah, that's right. My student said that too. Nobody knows who's Nick. Why do I have to write an email to him? And then Katie suggested that let's meet Nick, and she showed a picture. A lot of teachers wrote about that in their reflections. Yes, the teacher can tell a story. Nick is a boy who is living in North America, and he has great interest in house and hotels, for example. Another task to be mentioned here is to create a web page for the school in order to turn it into a more purposeful task. The teachers remember that they were suggested to turn it into a contest, a writing contest. So A lot of teachers mentioned this in their reflections. They found this a very good idea to turn a task into a purposeful one. Lesson 4, teaching grammar can be fun and meaningful. Teaching grammar doesn't mean to be boring. Teachers of Group 4 come from different provinces of Vietnam, Sơn La and Trà Vinh. Those coming from Sơn La have to teach the students from different groups of ethnic minorities. Teaching grammar is never an easy task. They share that in their reflections. Most of the time, they ask the students to stand up and read out loud the forms, because there's the form boxes like this in the textbook. From the training course, they learned that, yes, there are some ways to turn these into some more interesting, knowledge. For example, they can change this into a game. Here, the teacher teaches the present continuous, and here they have mini cards with different colors. The colors here shows the students which forms they should focus on. Another thing that many teachers highlighted in their reflections is the phrases teach grammar in context. What does that mean, teaching grammar in context? It means make a grammar lessons more interesting by combining listening, speaking, and reading in teaching grammar. Teacher can let students listen to a task about a grammar form first. After that, he or she interviews the students to make sure they understand the meaning and use of form. That will be much more exciting than the normal way. The last lesson I want to mention here is lesson number 5. Lesson 5. Too much and badly timed correction breaks students' confidence. A lot of teachers shared that they are using the red pen, the pens with the red color, to correct their students' writing, and they are really strict when it comes to giving corrections. They believe that when they are strict, the students will learn better. However, after the course, they change their mind. They understand that they should give more positive feedback. And many teachers wrote that they're going to change the level of strictness to their students. So they believe that they can use a variety of colors when they give feedback. Also, they're going to raise their teachers a little bit first before they give feedback to them. So these are the 5 lessons that most teachers shared after the course. They wrote very clearly in the reflections that they found these lessons worth sharing, and they hope that other teachers at their schools can apply this into their own teaching too. So that's all about my part. Thank you very much for your listening.
Thanks very much, Ling. That was really interesting to learn about the perspectives from that one group out of the 4 groups, especially looking at the different parts of the very different parts of the country, and also the five lessons as well. It was really, really interesting. I'm going to there haven't been any questions yet, but if you do have any questions for Ling, please feel free to put them in the chat, and I'm sure Ling will be very happy to answer those. But I'm mindful of time. Yeah, and Neil's asked again, thanks everybody for staying on. We're not going to, we had originally planned to finish at 5, but as Charlotte has said in the chat, we're hoping to continue. We've got 2 more presentations, 3 down, 2 to go. 2 very interesting presentations still to come.
Yeah.
But we are aiming to finish at 5:30, so 10:30 in the UK. So we do hope that you can stay for that, especially because Charlotte's final stage is going to be the big reveal of the new course that you can all access. So not saving the best to last, but Saving something very interesting to share at the end. Okay, choose my words carefully there. Okay, but without further ado, I'm going to hand over, hopefully, to Chuong. Okay, are you there, Chuong? Who's going to talk about the project. We've heard from like the trainer's perspective from Katy. We've heard about the project itself from Ling and from Nhat, but now here's a great chance to hear about the project from the perspective of a teacher, one of the participants on the project itself. And I think Chuong was in the Sơn La Chaving group as well, yeah?
Yeah.
Ling, if you perhaps stop sharing your slides, and maybe hopefully Chuong can join us.
Okay, can you see it?
Yeah, we
see the screen?
We can see it and we can hear you, Chuong. So, away you go. The floor is yours.
Okay, I will start now.
Please.
Good afternoon and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And I am Bui Dinh Chuong. Today, I'm very happy to be here to share something I have learned from the course so far. The course is about how to use the materials. Before the course, I have many questions about the course. And I think I will learn something new in teaching. Or I can learn how to teach reading, listening, writing, and speaking with the new textbook, Grade 6 Global Success. And in the course, I am a member of Group 4 SLTV. Teacher Katy shared how to teach reading, listening, writing, speaking, and grammar, especially with her real experience. And we worked together on Padlet. First of all, I have learned a very important thing in teaching, that is helping the student to act out the language will be better than teaching them the language. To do that, I give students more extra support that I have learned from teacher Katy. I will motivate the student to take part in the lesson by using picture, videos, and the things are meaningful to them. For example, with the Unit 7 television and skill 2 listening, and I made the material for the listening stay. In this lesson, the students have to listen to the program and the channels. But the material in the textbook is not attractive. So I use some picture to introduce the program and help the student to get the meaning from the picture. For example, Harry Potter is very famous around the world, but maybe not all my students. I use the picture to help them to have a connect between the program and the words Harry Potter. Maybe they can see the picture again somewhere and they can remind the words Harry Potter. And to do this, I show them the picture at first, and then I ask them what is it pictures about, and they can answer me, and then I give them the word. For example, Harry Potter, Green Summer, my childhood, and English and fun. And then I ask them to discuss what channel is it program on, and then click to check the box to choose the channel, like this. Here, I can create an interactive exercise in order to let the student make their own choices. They can use the mouse to check the box. My students really like this exercise because they can move out of their seat and interact with the mouse. It is a little bit more interesting than sitting and listen. Moreover, in this activity, students can have a chance to work together. Collaborative work can help my students feel more comfortable in the task. They will have less feeling of doing a test. It is just a simple learning process. They can afford it. If they don't know something, they can learn from their teammate. An integrated skill will be a suitable choice because this helps the student practice more skill. In this example, I use speaking and listening skill. First, they discuss, so they have to talk, and then they listen to check. And with this, the student really like to talk about the channel because I have them with a picture and they have some information to talk about. And the second thing I want to share today is grammar in context, because grammar is the most difficult lesson for all teachers. We all know about it and try to make it makes more sense to students. Here is my example. We continue Unit 7, Television, a closer look to, with grammar, question word. In this activity, the students have to read the conversation and underline the question words. That's all. And so I make the lesson like this. First, I show the conversation, and then students read it and underline the question and ask them to give some more question words. When I planned this, teacher Katy gave me some advice. She said, some nice idea is logically sequenced. I like the pre-listening picture to get students interested. I wonder if the question words for the grammar section are still presented in a bit of a dry way and need more context to give a real understanding of meaning. So, thinking about when we use them and what we want to give us a better context, situation, and help students notice grammar pattern and meaning. I like the final. After I read Katy's comment, I changed a little bit. And here, I made a handout because I want to add a listening task here. And the conversation is not available in the book, so I made it. First, I give out the handout, and then I ask the student to listen and write the question word in the first column here, and then check. If the student cannot write the word, it's okay, because the next I will show the conversation, and then they can read the conversation and write the question word here. Next, I let them do some reading tasks. I help them answer the question and write the question and write the answer here like this. So the student will have the question words and they know how to answer the question here. Next, the student have to do with the 3 conversation and then have to listen again, listen to the conversation and then fill in the blank with the question words. First, I put the student in 4 groups and students complete the 3 conversation. They listen and fill in the blank with the question word in the first column, and then they have to find the answer for each question here. After they finish the handout, I let them to practice the conversation before they do a very funny activity, role play. In this activity, the student will work in group, and they can choose any question, then sound out loud the question in a group. So we will hear the language. And then the group 3 will have to answer the question from the group 1. It's a very funny activity, and the student really like it because they can sound out loud the things they have just learned. And if they can't, they can hear. They can hear their partner, they can hear the teammate, and imitate to sound out loud the language. And here the result. When I use listening in grammar lesson, somehow I cannot do it smoothly like Katy teach me, so I cannot reach my goal. But the thing I guess is the noise of the student. They make a lot of noise, but for me, they are active noise. They can sound out loud some English word. That is really, really good thing, and I need it. So, although I cannot do it smoothly, but I will try to apply it, and I think maybe I will success someday. And another thing I want to share is Padlets. Because of the pandemic, so the student cannot face to face with the teacher, so I use it to have a connect with my student, and they really like it. And here, this is my palette, and these are my students. I give them the topic, and they write an essay. This is the first time they write an essay. So here you cannot see that this is statement. I will help them to do this later. And now, on the behalf of the group for SLTV, I would like to say thank you. Thank you, Miss Katy, our teacher from IH London. Thank you, Hanoi Pedagogical University too. Thank you, International House London and British Council. Give us a chance to be in the course and have a short talk today to share something we learned from the course. Thank you for listening. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuong. That was fantastic. That was amazing to see and to hear your experiences and for you to share your experiences as a teacher. And I love the fact that at the end as well, you talked about the students and you mentioned about the students' response. That was going to be my question to you, but you answered my question at the end. How did your students change, and did you notice the change in your students? Before I hand over to Charlotte for the final stage, Katy, any comment or question for Chuong? Because Chuong was referencing you a lot there in his presentation. Any comment you might like to make or question for Chuong at all?
I think it was fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that as well. And it's great to see that you also have tried the things in class. And like I say, it always takes time, doesn't it, to do new things as well. And I think, yes, I mean, I don't think I have a direct question apart from, are you still doing it? Are you still continuing the new ideas in your class?
Yeah, I will continue to apply it until I can do like you to teach the grammar lesson smoothly like you and help the student and lead the student into the topic, and then so that they can learn the grammar in context and they can use them right away without wondering about the form I forgot it, how can I use this verb with this, and etc.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. And I think that's the thing, is keep going. Yes, and it's very different. Don't forget, we did it together on Zoom. You are all teachers. It's a totally different situation when you're in class with 25, 30 students. Believe me, it's not smooth for me then either. It's a different story.
Thanks, Katy. Thanks, Chuong. Yeah, totally agree. Keep trying, Chuong, and it's great to hear that again. Just keep on thinking about how you can use and adapt those techniques and those activities that you've learned. And again, as you said, seeing the change in your students and how they respond to activities, that's the real sign the real sign of development for you as a teacher and their learning as well, which is brilliant. Okay, thanks so much again, Chuong, for sharing. Thanks, Katie, too. Okay, last but not least, I'm going to hand over to, hopefully, to Charlotte, who's going to tell us a little bit about the course. Over to you, Charlotte.
Okay, I'm just going to see if this will open. My screen's flashing.
I've got my PowerPoint, your PowerPoint ready, just in case.
Okay. Okay, I can see something on my screen.
It's working. Okay.
Great, lovely. Okay.
Over
Thank you so much, to say, for sharing that teacher's perspective. It's really, really important for us to get those insights into how teachers experience our course. Somebody asked earlier how we know whether something we're doing is effective, and that's what we always want to know, isn't it? What actually happens in the classroom, and it's sometimes hard to get that insight. The teachers that we worked with were all invited to either record a reflection after they tested some of their activities, or to film little clips of themselves teaching. And so we were lucky enough to be able to see some people in their classroom with their kids teaching. So that was very interesting for us as well, to have that opportunity. And I know it was a big bother for the teachers because they had to get a lot of permissions. So we thank them for making all that effort. But it really, really helps us as a course provider to see what happens in the class, and who doesn't like watching somebody teach and watching students learn. It's the best thing in the world for us to be able to do. So thank you so much for all that sharing. So what next? We have taken the experiences of Katie and of Lynn and her team working with the teachers, and the things that we saw the teachers doing on the Padlets and in their classes. And we have created an online course for teachers about methodology and ideas for working with your textbooks to get the best benefit for your students in the classes. As Katie said, the textbooks are new, they're great. No textbook is perfect for every teacher, and every class is different. So these are ideas that you can use with any book, and it's mostly directed to sort of junior secondary age group, but I think it's also equally applies actually to upper primary as well. It's the same kind of ideas. The material will be slightly different, but it's the same kind of ideas. So we'd like to just tell you a little bit about this course. Okay, so let's see if I move my slides along. Okay, so the thing about this course is it's free. It's good. And it's hosted in Vietnam on our partner's site, Hanoi Pedagogical University. You can join as a teacher, as an individual, or you could join as a group of teachers from your school. Really, it's good to have a group of people to study with. Or it might even be with a group of schools, so you're welcome to. The material in the course it's full of examples from your current textbooks, this new batch of textbooks, because we think that will make it easier for you to follow or to relate it to your own topics that you're teaching. And it also has some examples of the things that we got from the teachers that we worked with on their ideas and their lessons. So it should be, we hope, very relevant to teachers in Vietnam now working. Okay. Right, so this is a screenshot from the front page of this online course, self-access course, and it's got 10 units. And we based it, as Katie said earlier, about teaching skills and teaching grammar. There's a unit on practice and games. And then there's also, at the end, there's a unit on lesson planning, so how to bring a lot of those things together. We know, as a teacher, every time you make a change to your lesson, it takes a lot of effort. So there's a lot of different ideas here that you will possibly be applying for 12 months. It's not something that you can put into practice all at once, because that's too much. There's also in this course, this unit 9 is on safeguarding. So that's got useful information for teachers working with their students about safety online for young learners. And it also has lots of ideas for diversity in the classroom and how to make your classroom a more diverse, aware space. Okay, so some lesson plans and things in there. Okay, so let me just show you a couple of things and give you an overview of how the course works. So we start with an introduction, and every unit has learning objectives, so you know what you're going to achieve during that unit. And then within each of those 10 units, it's divided into different lessons. And some examples. So it's quite, we think it's easy as we can to make it navigable for you. So you have, in the gamification example, for example, you have a lesson menu on the right-hand side, and you can see all the different topics that you're going to study within that lesson. And then there are buttons you can use to skip forwards and backwards. I'm stuck on my page at the moment. 1 second. There it is. There it goes. So there's a backwards and forwards button, so you can navigate. And then there's also a progress bar at the bottom, so you can see how far you've got on that unit, which is important when you're working through a course. It can be quite hard to work on an online course and keep going if you don't know how much more you've got to do. So we've tried to give you an indication of that all the way through the course. And then the content inside. We've got a mixture of different things. So we have quite a lot of recordings. This is a picture of Annie, who built the site. We've got a lot of recordings of different trainers as well. Katy's colleagues who live next door to her, and my colleagues in London. We have a lot of things for real teachers talking about real teaching. And then there are also texts with key pieces of information in. And there are a number of videos, and we have some Katy in action. We've captured Katy on here, and she does some talks, some live videos of talks for you. And there's also ideas of other teachers in the course. I'm going to see if this works. Okay, so you can see if this is if this will run for me. I think it will, David. Yeah, okay, so different kinds of activities. There are things like sorting activities, where you drag and drop within the site. Matching activities, where you'll have maybe some text and some headings, some summary activities. A few gap fills, where you put your answers in, and then you can check your answers, and you can see what's right, or you can get some clues, and you can do it again. Okay. So the purpose of the activities is so you're not just reading. And there's some click and reveal. So sometimes you have a question, you think about it, you flip the card over, and you can see the answer. Okay. And then there's some sequencing activities. These are all the kind of activities we do in class, aren't they? With our students to help them process text. We've done the same kind of activities in the course. Okay. And just to test your knowledge, then there would be a quiz as well at the end of a unit, where you're choosing an answer or you're selecting a choice. And the purpose is to help you review and summarize the things that you've been learning. Okay. It doesn't matter if you get it right or wrong. The point is, it's a different way to keep you learning. Okay, so and then at the end of each unit, there's a reflection so that you can look back at the unit and apply that to yourself. Okay, so that's the course, and we would be very happy to give you more information about the course, and I'm going to post a link momentarily. But before that, I just need to say thank you to our team. So our team were the teachers from the 11 provinces who made this project lots of fun for us and really brought it alive and gave us a purpose and gave us so much learning. As a UK provider, we really didn't know that much about Vietnam, but I think we really do feel that we know a lot more now because the teachers were so open to share with us and to share with each other. We were very impressed. Okay. Also, the trainers from our partner university they worked so hard at all kinds of times of day and night, answering the teachers' questions, and they provided that really valuable support, and they did it in English and Vietnamese. And I just think that also really helped, because when people were stuck, they could actually quickly ask a question. The trainers from IH London, of course, and of course Katy Kelly, who we are very lucky to work with. And if you Google Katy, she does talks everywhere. She's a very well-known trainer. So we're always really delighted when we work with Katy and her expertise. And then the publishers in Vietnam, who have agreed to allow us to include parts of their textbooks in the course, which is really important, we think, because the methodology needs to be applied to real materials to make it useful for teachers. And then, of course, the British Council for bringing us all together as partners, because we would never have met if you hadn't introduced us. So thank you very much. I've just posted in the chat a link. So if you would like to find out more about the online course for teachers, express your interest, you can use this QR code that's on the screen, or there's a link in the chat, and you need to send us your information, and then we will send you back information about the course. It'll probably start going live from April. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Charlotte, and everybody. And yeah, thanks very much for the. It's great to learn about the development of the course, and as you say, with your list of thanks there, to learn about the collaboration between the various partners and teachers and the trainers from both from Vietnam and from the UK. With particularly IH London and HPU2. So that's, yeah, great to hear about that, and I think we're all quite excited to see where it goes from here as well, in terms of the course and in terms of future opportunities as well. Okay, I'm mindful of the time. It's just gone 5:33, but I just want to say a huge thanks to everybody for taking part. It's great to see so many people really interested and see some of the questions in the chat, and huge thanks again to everybody from the team, as just to echo what Charlotte was saying, to Nhat, to Katy, to Ling, to Chuong, and to Charlotte as well, and everybody behind the scenes. I know there are even more people at HPU2, at IH London, and also at the provinces. There's all the 11 provinces and all the teachers. Chuong is just here today to represent Chaving and represent all the 69 teachers from across the 11 provinces. So thanks to everybody. And again, we at the British Council are hoping to do even more activities like this. So there's so much, again, sharing from all 5 of you, and there's so much that we can really delve into, I think, going forward. So I really hope we have more opportunities with different audiences at different times to explore some of the things that you've outlined this morning and this afternoon. So with that, I'll say thank you very much. It's always sad to say goodbye, but I want you all to have a great weekend. So Katy and Charlotte, have a great weekend in the UK, and to everybody in Vietnam, to Ling, to Chuong, to Nhat, and all the participants who stayed till the very end. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy your Saturday evening and Sunday in Vietnam. Okay, and we'll see you very soon somewhere. Okay, thanks very much, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, David.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.